You're listening to the Roofing Success Podcast, a show created to inspire roofing contractors to achieve optimal success in their roofing businesses. I'm the host, Jim Moline, the co-author of the book, Internet Marketing for Roofing Contractors, How to Triple Your Sales and Turn Your Roofing Website into an Online Lead Generation Machine. I'm also the co-founder of Roofer Marketers, the digital marketing agency for the roofing industry. On each episode, I'll be sitting down with industry leaders to talk about their processes, the lessons they've learned, and how to find success in roofing. Welcome to another episode of the Roofing Success Podcast. Today is one of my favorite stories, and it's because I have, it comes down from my family also, and, coming from an immigrant family who migrated to the United States. And I always love the immigrant story. The immigrant story is always about hard work, and the success that comes out of it is always amazing. And so the person that we have, the guest that we have today, has such an amazing story in that came to the United States as an immigrant without speaking the language, not understanding the culture, having to leave their own culture, and then got into working in roofing. Became a business owner, was told that they would never be able to make it as a business owner, as a roofing contractor, right? And now has become really a thought leader and a leader in the industry. And I really took notice of her when during this COVID crisis, and how she has been sharing with the roofing community and really putting herself out there to better all roofing contractors in this business. And so I'd like to introduce Greta Bajrami. And if you want to just tell us a little bit more about your story and how you got started.
Well, first, thank you for having me on your podcast. I'm always grateful to get to share a little bit of my journey and the way I stumbled upon roofing. My name is Greta Bajrami, and I migrated to the United States when I was just 9 years old with my family. At that time in Albania, my home country, my parents wanted to seek a better opportunity for me, so they decided to leave everything behind and migrate to the United States, the land of opportunity. And I found myself growing up with the American dream like any other, young adult. And I went through all the motions of high school and college here in the States. I found a passion for business and very early on for international affairs. I always thought I would be in that growing up, my full career would land me somehow back in relationships with Europe.
Okay.
But when I graduated college, there was a shortage of jobs. And unfortunately, not many people were hiring. So I went on the old Craigslist job post because I didn't have to create an account. And I started looking, and there was these ads for a roofer foreman. And I said, well, how hard could this be? There wasn't really much to it. It was very vague. So I called the company and I said, I want to apply for this position. I'm a college, grad. I happen to be bilingual. Are you hiring? And I think the owner was just so fascinated that it was a girl calling. So he said, yeah, sure. Come on in.
Yeah.
I drove. It was actually an hour away from where I lived. I drove there and I ended up getting the job. And there wasn't much to it. It was just, can you show up on time? Can you watch the job site all day? Like, here's a pro field guidebook. This is all you need to know. Study it, show up. So I did. That's exactly what I did. I was super excited to have gotten a job while many of my friends were still job searching. And I was super excited to be in this world that I actually knew nothing about. I actually had no idea that you needed to replace the roofs in homes, because it was one thing that you never looked up, right? As a person, You just drove your car, you parked, you went inside your parents' home. You were like, mom and dad take care of this. Like, I don't know anything about this. Yep. So I found myself in this world, and through it, I actually ended up falling in love with it. I saw a lot of opportunity because I was always a business person in heart, and that's what I fell in love with first. So I saw an industry that had so much potential, but yet lacked so much communications and lacked so much in different areas. And I said, well, why go to corporate America? Why go and try to open up a coffee shop or whatever other people are doing with business degrees? Why not stay right here, and particularly in roofing, and make the best out of it? And And that's exactly what I did. I decided to stay 3 years with the general contractor that I was working, and I decided to dedicate 3 years to becoming the expert. And I really ended up falling in love with the world of roofing. So that's just kind of how I entered it.
Yep. And
But
then Golden Group appeared or was formed,
yeah,
right?
so my boss at the time, I offered him to franchise his company, but he made me a very sharp offer. So at that point in time, I had this gut feeling that I had to try this. And if I had to do it my way, I had to create an entity that was going to represent all the visions and all the integrity that I had set out to have within roofing. And that's how Golden Group was born. It was born out of wanting to create something different. Sure, everybody says that I'm going to create a company that has integrity and high this and high that, but how many people actually do it and do it to the highest level and become leaders in their communities?
Definitely.
And how many people do it with a vision of their own rather than duplicating what's already existing? So that's how Golden Group was born. It was that want and that desire to create a legacy and to create something different that wasn't already done. I mean, there's nothing proprietary about roofing, right?
Yeah.
Anybody can do it.
Yep.
I mean, YouTube shows you many ways. So I had to figure out a way, and I had to create a vision that was going to make Golden Group different. It was going to make every client that worked with us realize that our vision, our purpose was much greater than the average roofing company. And that's what really led to Golden Group opening its doors in March 12, 2012.
Great. So in Golden Group, do you guys are you guys focused more on residential, commercial, both? How?
Yeah, so certainly when I first opened the company, I knew that we had to do one thing and we had to sort of specialize in that particular area. And the way to do that was to achieve it by keeping it a singular offering service. So from the very first start, we had many opportunities to add many layers to the company. So we kept it to just roofing, and we wanted to become the experts and the industry leaders within our community. And then we kept it to residential because we decided that very early on that if we were going to do residential, we had to set up a platform and a procedure to deal with the emotions of a homeowner, because it's very different than the world of commercial. So because of that, we've always stuck to residential because it aligns with the purpose of Golden Group.
For sure. And you just mentioned, about the customer and the kind of the customer journey. What's your unique selling proposition and how you position yourselves in the eyes of those customers?
The unique proposition is that we let them lead the way with knowledge, and we are sort of their supporting guidance. A lot of companies like to take ownership of the whole project, but I find that it is a person's home, and it is their biggest asset that they own, right? Most people go to work every single day to obtain a roof over their head, literally. And I found that if we educate and empower with enough knowledge through every step of the way and let the homeowner sort of be the leader, and we are always there for them to lean on, then that is a process that they love and respect and they feel very comfortable about. So when you're dealing with a Golden Group project, the point of difference is that we're providing you so much knowledge and we're leading you in the correct path, but we are right behind you, right? We're like that coach. We're still leading the game, so to say, but we're letting you be the star. Nice. And I think that's the difference with the Golden Group project is we don't take a whole project over and leave the homeowner out of it, until the roof is done. Because sure, that's a great way to approach it too. But we've decided very early on that if we leave the client in charge, but provide them the support and the knowledge and the whole pathway, it leads to ultimate success over the whole experience.
That's awesome. I love that. What do you guys do what's your marketing mix? Do you guys do direct mail? I know you do a lot of internet marketing. How do you guys generate the leads for your company?
Yeah, great question. I mean, we've been an SEO company from the very start. I think that's all because I'm also a millennial entrepreneur. So that's where I go to seek. That doesn't mean that my approach is better than somebody else's. It's just the way I think. So I'm a big believer that if I don't read the mail that comes, of course there might be people that read it, but I can't invest in something that I'm not passionate about or I don't follow. So because I'm a very search and web presence person, and that's where I go to get all my search for my home and my projects, I decided that was the best approach for me and for Golden Group. So from the very early, we decided that we were going to make an incredible platform that was going to always be digitally. And that was to focus on content that's relatable, content that's speaking in first person always to the homeowner, and content that's our own, that's our words and my words, as well as my team. And then we pair that up with Google Ads. We pair that up with, search engine optimization that we produce.
Yep.
And then we've added digital in terms of social. We decided to add social about 3.5 years ago when I attended a Google Summit, and they said, look, it's going to be YouTube, Google, Facebook, Instagram. Those are going to be the most powerful algorithms. And this was about 3.5, 4 years ago. And they weren't kidding, because if you're not on those 4 platforms right now, then you don't exist to a lot of the future homeowners, because obviously the future homeowners are in their early 30s right now, and this is where they live. So if you're not there, they're not going to see you when the roof replacements are needed. That's
for sure. And I think the data now is that it's somewhere between 80 and 90% of people go to Google first, just when they're searching for a home service provider. So
exactly,
to be positioned there is one of the most important things. What kind of successes have you had doing it, or let's talk about what some of the things that you've tried that didn't work online.
Well, what didn't work is, this is going to sound like, I'm not a big fan of listing in other partner sites. I know this is like a very hot topic amongst contractors. I don't think any of them have ever really worked. When you think of the algorithms of Angie's List, Home Advisor, Yelp, and all these other guys, for me, they've never really worked. They've worked just for the moment when I'm pumping a ton of investment and money into the budget.
Yes.
And then never a moment after. So if I could go back and tell myself how to save money, I would say, Greta, I know you're tempted. Just don't do it. Just spend a little bit more money working with a marketing team or working with a company that's going to position you digitally, and view it as an investment, right? Like it could be a short-term game, or it could be a long-term game where I'm investing in my own brand and I'm investing in creating my own channel of lead generating. So what hasn't worked for me has always been the partnering sites. It only worked when I've invested a ton of money into that for that month, and then boom, completely fell off. Yeah. So I wish I could go back and save a ton of money, and I wish I could go back and invest that money into the Golden Group brand positioning on the web, because in the long run, it would have been much better.
For sure. And those companies are doing what you're doing now, right? They're producing content. They're getting ranked in Google. They're doing those things. They're running paid advertising. They're doing commercials. They're doing all of these things. And that's how they're getting the traffic to their business.
Of course.
Right? So if you do it yourself, it may take a little bit more time.
Of course.
Right? It may take a little bit more time. It may take a little bit more effort, but those efforts will definitely be worth it.
That's how I view it. I view it as like doing your own homework and watching yourself get the degree. That's what I tell my team. It's like doing your own homework and watching yourself get that degree that you worked so hard for, not somebody else. And unfortunately, as contractors, we get very tempted, but sometimes we have to realize that we have to play the longer game always, especially when it comes to branding.
Yeah. I think, a lot of the listeners have heard me say this many times, but there are no diet pills.
No.
Right? It's if you want to lose weight or get in shape, you go to the gym, you exercise, and you eat right. You
exactly.
eat right and you exercise. There's no special way. There's no one out there that you can give money to that will just like create an opportunity for you that's beyond what you can create for yourself over doing the right things over time. And so what in doing that, what are you guys doing on the content marketing side of things? How are you creating the content? What are you thinking about when you're creating that content? Let's start.
Sure.
Do you do blog posts and then do the social? So let's go kind of through each one, what you're doing.
Sure.
and what you're thinking in when you're creating that content. Because I see you on Instagram all the time. What are you thinking about for Instagram? What are you thinking about for, Facebook, if you're doing that? What are you thinking about for blog posts, things like that?
Yeah, of course. So when it comes to blog posts, I write with two styles. One is speaking to the industry, one speaking to the homeowner. I want to position myself as a blogger, right, for the roofing industry. I think it's very important early on that if you have a brand and you have a good brand that has great visits, that you establish that site as a leader for not necessarily people who want roofs, but for people who just want to learn about roofs. And I think that's something I established very early on. I remember me and my team sat down and I said, well, I don't want my blogs to be read by just future clients. I want my blogs to be read by anybody who's reading about roofs in the web.
Yep.
That's what I want. That's my desire when I put out those pieces. So when I put out those pieces, I try to think of things that I come across as a homeowner. Like I'm working on a blog right now about colors, because I realized that I hate picking roof colors, even though there's 12.
Yep.
And I know there's a lot of people that feel the same way, that sure, we have clients that pick colors instantly, but we also have clients that spend 2 weeks. So I want to write a blog about that, addressing that and putting my professional opinion into that. Or sometimes I write blogs about the importance of just reading contracts clearly. Like that's not going to help me, but maybe that's going to help somebody else who's already in agreement with another roofer. And maybe it's going to help both parties. It's not always to raise awareness or put fear. It's just to, again, raise knowledge, right? If I can empower people with knowledge, it's going to better my industry, and it's going to better essentially me and my market and my presence in my market. So when I write in the blog, I always write with a purpose of either positioning myself to just provide knowledge or just offer expertise to the roofing industry. When I write on social, when I write on Instagram, it's more for a contractor perspective. I realize that on Instagram, not many people that are going to be there are going to want a roof instantly. So I want to position myself as a leader. I want people to realize that I'm not in here just for roofs. I'm in here for the bigger picture. I'm here because I want to make a name and a legacy for myself. And I also want to empower people that are like-minded and value the same levels of ethics and integrity that I do. So my Instagram approach is very different. I don't think, if you are a roofer, I don't think you should focus on Instagram like buy now. I see a lot of roofers who give me buy now ads on Instagram, and I'm saying, who's on Instagram right now that wants to buy a roof?
That's right.
Again, I don't think many people. It's not a platform where people buy instantly, because it's a younger demographic, and it's a younger demographic. So therefore, for the consumer purpose, I just want to position myself as somebody who is valued and respected. But I also want to use Instagram to network, because what contractors often leave out is the networking piece. A lot of them say they do it, but they don't do it effectively. Networking is such a long game, but it is one that if you play it correctly, you can build a brand that's sellable. You might get investors, you might be able to sell it, whatever your end game might be, however you foresee it. However, networking is a crucial part of the business. And I know everybody is always telling me I don't have time for it. I don't know if I want to. I don't want to share my good ideas. But in my opinion, that's just very silly, because to network within your industry is such a big piece of the puzzle. And if you don't do it, you're always going to be maybe 10, 15 steps behind than everybody else.
Always. Yeah. I love that, kind of the two things that you're talking about. So the one thing that you're doing is you're building authority, right? You're building authority of your brand. And I think that a lot of, you want to position yourself and become the authority in your market, but not just in your market. You're talking about in the industry, right?
Correct.
So if a homeowner looks you up online, they see this person who is a leader in the industry. That trust factor is so far beyond what just looking you up online and seeing your couple of reviews on your Google My Business listing or something, right? So
exactly.
But the other part of it is also becoming a leader in the industry, right? So exactly. You're positioning yourself to the homeowner mainly through the blogs and things like that. The other part of it that I like to talk about sometimes is that this is, social media marketing is brand awareness.
Of course.
This isn't lead generation, it's brand awareness. And you have to have the right mindset about that. Now, you guys are not in a huge storm damage restoration market,
no.
in storm damage restoration markets, we could say when the hail falls, you can use social media to generate leads.
Yes.
But that's only because we know that there's more homeowners in that specific area that need a roofer. It's still brand awareness.
It is.
It's just that you have a higher concentration of buyers, right?
Exactly.
In Massachusetts there, where you don't have the storms as much, it's still brand awareness.
It's constant.
It's constant because you want to be in front of the person when they're thinking about being, about
100%. And with brand awareness, my biggest tip is make it real, make it human.
Yes.
A lot of companies, when they do brand awareness, they make it sound like it's a corporate 500. And if you look at Fortune 500 companies, they're not doing that approach.
They're not.
They're making it very human. So why would you, a small company or a medium-sized company, whatever, even if you are a $100 million roofing company, whatever you are, why would you take the approach of branding like very large, right? Like very above the client, so to say. And what's been successful for us is always with that tip in mind, that the branding is the people. It's me on the camera. It's my guys on the camera. It's the other girls that work for the team going on the camera and showing what they care about and sharing their frustrations. Even for now, for example, what we're going through with our changing markets, it's being real. Because if you are real, you are respected, and that allows for people to have affection towards your brand. Because now they see you as just another human being, and they respect you because you're real. And you're using social media marketing to be real and genuine with people and let them know that you have emotions that you're going through. And you have days that are good and you have days that are bad. And I always tell people that I mentor here, you also want branding to be reflective of that, of the bads too, not just the goods, because it allows people to see that you're human and you have days when job sites don't go perfect.
That's right.
But you also have days that you take care of every single one. Oh.
And some of that messaging is even more powerful, right? Showing the issue and the resolution to the issue can be more powerful than than just showing the good all the time, right?
Exactly.
It's like and people buy from who they know, like, and trust. So if you're developing that know you, like you, trust you with people, that's built through authenticity. Right.
Exactly.
The salespeople that are listening, when you're out there, the thing that you're doing when you're sitting down at the kitchen table is you're trying to build, you're getting that homeowner to trust you, right? That's your whole brand. So,
and what better way than being a genuine person and realizing that they're people too. And what I always tell my sales team is that they have to be real, right? They have to set up real expectations, real problems. My team hates it because when I train them to sell, is always to set up realistic expectations. Like I never tell them to tell homeowners that we are going to remove every single nail. I tell them our goal will always be that, and we will always do everything in our power to achieve that. But sometimes something may happen, but the difference is that we're always there, right? Like we're always a call away or an email away or a text away. Because that's why you're doing business with Golden Group. You're doing business with a team of people that are going to always stand by you, no matter if it's good, bad, or ugly. And that's the difference, is when you sell with realistic expectations and you sell realizing that they care about the same things that you care about, then you start converting a lot better. Definitely. Than if you're sitting there promising the world, or you're sitting there and you're sort of becoming a robot and just going through a sales pitch.
Yeah, and people feel that, right? They don't like to be sold. They really don't like to be sold. So
yeah, no, I mean, at Golden Group, we have a very unique sales approach. It's very consultative. We just really just empower you with knowledge, and we actually just kind of get up and leave. Yeah. This is an approach that I adapted from luxury car dealers. Actually, I studied some of their books, and they say that they know that people want their product when they're walking into their room. It's just a matter of providing them with enough knowledge for them to make an educated decision. And the ones that need more time to process it will always sort of go home, research, and usually they come back, right?
Yeah.
Because their product, a Mercedes, for example, let's just use in quotation, is unmatched with other products. And that's the Golden Group approach that we take to sales, is we go there and we provide everything so we know we can never be matched. And we leave them to process that information. And we sort of walk away. And that sort of approach, with leading with integrity and sort of stepping back and maybe being a little egotistic about it, has always worked in our favor, because it makes it attractive. It makes people say, wow, look at Golden Group. Look at what they have. They know it's so good because they didn't sit here begging me for it, to buy from them. They sort of provided me with the knowledge, gave me all the resources, and then just said, you know what? Like, we're here when you've had enough, when you've done your due diligence and your research, because I'm a big advocate for allowing homeowner to properly research and properly digest everything that you've told them.
So what's your follow-up process through that? Do you use any email marketing? Are you getting on the phone and kind of following up to make sure that they have all of the information that they need to make that decision? How are you guys doing that in your sales process?
So once we meet with your client, we're presenting everything, and then we're actually going to be following up immediately within 24 hours, recapping everything that we discussed, giving them an online full proposal of the estimate with photographic evidence, as well as links and whatever we feel necessary for that particular client. This is when the sales consultant has an opportunity to make it his own. If he wants to give recent work that we've done, in the last 30 days in that area, recent homeowners, if he wants to give homeowners in the last 5 years, whatever he chooses, he has the ability to customize that. And as well as, let's say he wants a video message from me to go on the email, he has that ability. So immediately after the appointment, usually within 24 hours, a full email has to be sent to the client, thanking them and then recapping everything, because our ending sentence is, we hope that in the comfort of your own couch, you will take the proper time to go through everything that we discussed, and we will follow up if you have any questions. So then we trigger an email 5 days later to follow up to see if they have any questions. And oftentimes there is some lingering questions. And then usually if they haven't made a decision by then, we'll do another follow-up in about 7 days, and then continue. This approach works. Contractors hate me for it. They don't like it. This approach works because I have about 30 case studies where we've had roof estimates that are 5 to 6 years old that come back, and people say, I can forward them to you so you can show it to your viewers.
Yeah.
People say, it's okay if the price went up, I'm ready now. And that is like, boom, that is that luxury car dealer approach, right? Like the person who couldn't afford the Mercedes, they went home, they researched it, and they said, you know what, I'm going to put it off for a little bit longer because that's what I want. I want that roof from that company. And they usually come back. And that's the biggest thing. When somebody comes back to you and asks you, can you please do this? And I understand that the prices have gone up, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's what a lot of contractors miss, the long game, right? You're not just getting someone in your pipeline to close in the next 30 days. Keep that, and the way you present yourself will definitely reflect on the amount of sales that you'll get, down the road. And that's awesome. I love that. That's great.
And that approach also leads to the highest referral. I mean, for a 9-year-old company, we have about 45% referrals coming in at an average, 30-day cycle. And that's huge. And we don't really we give those people a gift card, but we don't have an advertised referral program. These are just clients who are extremely excited and want us to continue working within their network. And that's huge. I mean, that speaks for itself. And this is, again, playing that long game. I've spoken up about this at summits with other roofers. People don't like it. They want the buy now approach. And my reservation with that is the buy now approach works. It does. I don't think it's going to work for the next generation coming into the home buying. Why? The next generation coming is smart. They're intuitive. They live in a digital platform. They can Photoshop and work everything. So they might even sniff a lie from 10 miles away.
That's right.
So there's some companies that are sort of throwing in some extra stuff to make themselves look presentable. I guarantee you that the next wave of homeowners coming within the next 5 to 10 years will sniff everything out. And it's going to be hard to convince them to buy now. And I can guarantee you they're almost going to be turned off by it. They're probably going to ask you to walk away because they don't want to be told what to do. They know what they want to do.
That's right. And they've had the information at their fingertips their whole lives, right? They've had the world's knowledge at their fingertips their whole life. And so when you're able to to go to say, I wonder if that person is telling the truth, and go and look that information up, right? To see if, if that roof repair needs to be done or not. If someone is answering that question online, and so
Exactly.
they're able to utilize technology in that way and sniff that out. What do you guys do special on production day? Do you do anything special on production day? How do you set that up to the customer? What do you do?
Well, yeah. So, I mean, again, it's empowering them. So right before the construction crew actually arrives, we will get on a conference call with the client, and we'll actually send them a PDF that we've customized.
Nice.
So we have a PDF sort of like dummy sheet that walks them through what's going to happen. And it walks through very beautiful things like expect crew to arrive between 7 and 8. If there's traffic, maybe 8:30, right? Again, it's just using a little humor and realistic expectations. And it's telling them like, look, we're going to put these black heavy duty tarps and it's going to get really dark. Don't worry, the sun's still out,
Uh-huh.
And it's just, again, it's just empowering them. So right before the crew arrives, the day before, they're getting this beautiful PDF that they're reading through it. And usually at the end it says questions, we got answers, call us. And if there is some questions they might have, they'll give us a call. When the construction crew arrives on site, we want to continue the excitement. So the sales team member will touch that job site as well to ensure that he is the face, right, of the brand for that homeowner. Because although I'm the owner, although Freddie might be on operations, they don't really have a connection with that person. They have a connection with the person that they had sitting across them in their kitchen table, or who they spent the most time in a Zoom call or text thread. So we want that person to be there. So usually they're there, and we continue that conversation throughout the whole day. And we have a process that we don't ask for payments until we complete everything. And everything for us is the roof, the permit closing procedures, and the warranty, because we register warranties for all our clients to ensure peace of mind, not just for the client, but for us. If you don't know what that means, for the residential contractor listening, it's your brand. You don't want your company to absorb a lot of liability. So what better way to protect your assets and yourself and protect, maybe a future partner that wants to come into the business? First question they're going to ask you is, what's your workmanship warranty and how many roofs you've installed?
That's right.
And what better way to address that by saying, yes, I've installed, 400 roofs a year, but at the same time, I also have registered enhanced warranties for all of them. So that's really important for me.
Definitely.
So once everything has been done, then the client is welcomed on a final call, asked if everything is okay, and then only then do they pay their balance. And then once the job is completed, we follow up with a thank you handwritten card and a small gift that arrives to them. The small gift idea was my idea about 2 years ago. I fought a little bit with the team because obviously we have to allocate the money for that. But there's no better anything than a homeowner opening a bottle of wine with your thank you card and posting it on Facebook and saying, how many roofers are sending you a nice Cabernet, to say thank you.
That's right.
Or a candle. So this is when it gets personal, because if the salesperson was paying attention, they've made correct notes that allows us to choose one of our gifts. In our gift baskets, we have candles, we have like notepad and pen, and then we also have wine, and we have gift cards to a restaurant. So depending on what the salesperson feels is the best gift, the gift value is between $20 to $50, depending on the scope of the project, and it goes out with that thank you card.
That's awesome. And I love that you've incorporated that the salesperson has to try to figure that out through the process, right? Okay, what's the best gift for this person when we get to the end of this? That's a rule.
Well, we don't want to give somebody who's doesn't like to drink a bottle of wine.
Right. Yeah.
But it's a little bit of extra work. I know some contractors have told me that sounds like a great idea, but it sounds like a lot of work. It is and it isn't. If you plan it out well and you have your letters already pre-made and you're just adding that special messaging and you have your gifts in your office already purchased and ready to go, it doesn't really take that much longer for your sales team to deliver that, because when they deliver that, it's like the final nail in the roofing system. It allows this homeowner to feel really good that he gave you that last final payment. You didn't just take the money and buy,
Okay,
you gave the money and you gave something back.
So when does this salesperson deliver this gift?
In the very end, when the final payment is to be collected.
Okay, so they're picking up the final payment and delivering the gift at the same time.
Correct.
That's awesome. That's great. And then what do you guys do for long-term follow-up with these customers to try to, keep your brand in front of them, over time?
MailChimp. We decided that MailChimp is the best way to do it. We constantly send out like little messages, Merry Christmas, how are you? How's it going? We have solar now. But we also do something very unique. So not for the holidays, for the winter months, because we want to always associate ourselves with something different.
Yep.
For the winter months, I allocate about $1,500 to $2,000 every year for gift cards. So I buy $5 to $10 gift cards at our local coffee shops, and I pick a random pool just with a computer. My cousins, just designed it for me to pick random. I pick random people that we've done roofs. I started 2 years and back. So for this year, I would pick people 2018 and back, and I send them gift cards. And the message is very cheesy. It's like, hey, how's your winter treating you? I know your roof's good, but here's a cup of coffee on us. People get very excited about those. You don't understand how much leads $1,500 will generate, because people, first of all, say you're the only contractor I've ever done business with that actually dares to show his name or face.
That's right. That's right.
Most contractors don't even want me to remember your day, and so it's very powerful. So that is another way that we stay in touch. I recommend that to everybody. If you don't want to do the gifts, don't do it, but listen to Greta and Golden Group team. If you're going to try anything, please try this season to send maybe a $5 gift card to all the clients that you did in 2017. And then just write in the card, hey, awesome. Just want to make sure your roof's doing great with all these recent ice dams from the XYZ roofing team. Stay warm.
That's awesome. And from our previous conversations, I know that you have a finance mind, right? So this is, understanding the long-term value of a customer. Yeah. There's so many. So, I like to talk about this a lot: customer acquisition cost and long-term value of a customer. And I know, you probably have some great insights into this because of, being the treasurer over at NERCA and
thank you.
and handling money and, but also being on the forefront of this stuff. Like, you said 45% of your business is coming from referrals.
Yeah.
So the long-term value of each of your customers, that's like, do you know that like what do you have a number to put to that right now?
Yes and no. I mean, so the long-term value of a client. So for us, every time we tap into a network of somebody's network, I would say that already brings us maybe a value of around $1,500, $1,800. So what that means is that they are potentially letting us into a pool. So what I like to play with people's minds is that when you're touching Greta, you're not touching just Greta. You're touching all the people that are chained to me. That's behind right. me. So every time you touch me, you don't understand what potential I can bring you. So based on profit margins of jobs, Greta could potentially bring in $1,800 of additional revenue just from the chain that follows her. It could be a repair, it could be, a simple skylight leak, or it could be a full roof. But that number is, so the average client of that 45% referral is attached to a number. So I encourage roofers to sit down and do the research for their team. And the way you can do that is look at one client and look at the network of people that may have brought you, and then figure out from that one source the average profit that you brought in from their network to sort of give you an idea of the value proposition of each client that you do business with. And that's the way I've done it for my company. And again, the way I like to think of it very metaphorically is I always tell my clients, I always tell my sales team, the goal is not just the client you're working with. The goal is their network.
That's right.
I don't focus on a lot of I have to say this, so I have to get this off my chest. A lot of roofing contractors focus on the margins and get too carried away from it.
Yeah.
margins are important. It's how companies are run. However, when you are dealing with a client that you have already signed up for, that you already are contracted for, if you're focusing on the margins, you're losing sight of the bigger picture. You're potentially cutting your relationship short with that person because you're very worried about dipping in, the red zone. Maybe you make a very costly call on the actual roof, on the installation, on the product. Maybe you went too short on something that you knew you should have done. Or maybe you went a little short in the overall experience because you tried to cut some corners, maybe with that gift card. Maybe you didn't want to give her the wine because you were already sort of in the red. So leading with margins once you've already signed on with a client, it's very deadly because you're not seeing the bigger picture anymore. Now you're just focused on just getting that particular profit. You're no longer seeing the network possibility of working with a person like myself, with a Greta homeowner. You're just focused on the Greta roof.
Yeah, that's a great insight, and it's that short-sightedness that you can have in your business. That, man, we gotta make this project work to get that right, to get the right margin on it and move on to the next one, or but that forgetting about the customer long term, that's a big oversight. That's a huge oversight.
And it happens in roofing very often because a lot of companies are running daily operations without projections. And I know you and I spoke about this briefly, but also to not become short-sighted, because it is a possibility to become short-sighted when you are overwhelmed, right? When you are uncertain with what's happening. To not become or to not have yourself go through those emotions, work with your accountant, work with yourself to see your profit and loss in your balance sheet projection, not the current, the projection. Of what's coming. Project what's coming for your brand so you don't make a bad call. So you say, it's okay if today I went a little under here in this particular project, but I can't undercut Greta's experience on her project and the possibility of her network, because I know that this is going to be a great 3-month projection based on how many leads we have in the pipeline, based on how many other projects we're working on and we're potentially going to sell. So again, I'm a big advocate for the long game. I'm a big advocate for knowing how much money you have in your savings account, or how much money you are going to have in your savings account. It's really important as an individual. It's really important as a person every day when you wake up. But it's crucial as a business owner because it could destroy your brand, because you might be leading your brand on fear, or you might be leading your brand on the daily operations, not the yearly or the 5-year, 10-year, goals and projections.
Definitely. So getting those projections in order and understanding where that also provides you with a North Star, right? So it allows you along the way to make adjustments. Hey, we're not doing something right. We're not getting the lead flow that we need to hit those projections. What adjustments can we make along the way? And if you don't know the end goal, you'll never be able to make those adjustments along the way to hit that end goal. Because look, this is roofing. Stuff happens, right? We're in extenuating circumstances right now during the COVID epidemic. How are you adjusting to that with your projections, and how are you adjusting within your company as far as your marketing and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely adjusting. Obviously, we had to bring down the numbers, right? We had to make it more realistic. So we don't want to stress the brand out. We don't want to stress the sales team out and everybody that works really hard every day. So what we did as a team is we brought those numbers down. We reevaluated them, and obviously we took a step back. We took a step back to maybe even 2018 sales. I'm not even certain that we'll hit 2019 sales, especially based on the new bans that are still in effect in Massachusetts for the foreseeable future. So we readjusted and we brought it down to the 2018 numbers, so to say, and we brought it down to numbers that are realistic with the amount of leads that we're getting today. So we readjusted everything, but we readjusted everything to survive. And we focused on our bread and butter. So we also told our team that I know I know my solar partners don't want to hear this, but we said, let's take down some of the services that take us longer, are a longer lead acquisition for us, are just, not the right margin. Let's go back to our core. Let's really evaluate where's our bread and butter. And our bread and butter is actually in roof repairs. We're a huge pioneer for roof repairs. Nobody wants them.
No one
They're
wants
not big
them.
enough tickets.
Yep.
But I love them. I love roof repairs because I can have a team of 2 roofers and 1 truck be out there like a day like today and complete 12 roofing services that bring in the same exact value, if not a little more than a roofing project would.
Yep.
But it was an option. It was something that we had out there, right? So we're reinventing ourselves. And sometimes it also means reinventing and maybe going back to something that worked for you when you first started the company, or something that you're better than anybody else in your area. Yes. So to survive, you have to reevaluate, reconstruct the goals, and also reconstruct the plan of how you're going to get that. So if our plan is to make X amount of dollars every month, well, how are we going to get that money now? And for us, it was like, we have to go back to roof services. We have to go back to roof replacements. We have to put every other project on hold right now.
Yeah.
We can't go out there and start other projects like solar and siding. We need to focus on this because this is what we do, and this is what we do better than anybody else. And this is where we have really good margins, and we know we can survive what's coming if we just stick to this.
And that's the thing. That's the thing to remember too, is your margins, right? It's not margins on that one specific project maybe, but your margins in general, and making sure that you don't hurt your margins in your survival, because that won't help you survive either. The companies that are running on really thin margins from the beginning, they're going to have a harder time getting through this crisis than the companies that actually have solid margins. And to be there long term, you want your customers to understand that. So it maybe even become part of some people's sales process to say, look, we know we're not the cheapest, but we're going to be here when you need us.
Exactly.
Right?
And also it's cutting down some of the unessential marketing, and I call unessential like some of those partner sites that you're in.
Yes.
Maybe it's a good time to unsubscribe out of those and just find methods that they have a bigger end result in your bottom line. And for me, it was cutting out everything. And I'm like, I'm going to keep my web team, my blog team, so we can continue editing. And I would like to say this for blogs. If you have the possibility to write them and work with an author, it's going to be very impactful to the language on your site. It's a no-brainer. You write the content, hire a local author that's probably needs the work just as much, and have them edit and have them produce some high-quality content. So it's always free to write, right? It's free to write. So right now, I would tell anybody is cut down your marketing and focus on marketing that is free, like your own site. You already have a website. I hope you have a website.
I hope. Yeah, we hope you have a website. It is 2020.
Create pages. Create pages in their website, or work with a website team. Create content. Yeah. That's free. Create social media awareness. It's free. Create Facebook community posts and share them on all the community channels that you're in. That's free. Yeah. Become active.
And I love the ideas of going back to your past customer base with things that may not cost you a lot of money, but could generate a lot of return out of that.
Exactly. It's like right now you have to cut down and focus on the core. It's about survival, right? You need your brand to survive because so many of your employees and their families rely on it every day. So what are you going to do as an owner? And what are you going to do as a team member and I also asked my team members, I said, look guys, we need to step up. Yep. We need to become very vocal on every platform that's free. Yep. And they were like laughing, but they were like, you're right. Yeah. We should become extremely vocal. So I ask every member of your team, and if you are a member of a team, be vocal, because you never know who's listening, and that one roof might make the difference to your company for that month. For sure. That's awesome. Well, what is the greatest insight that you could share with our audience that has helped you find success in your roofing business? The greatest insight for me that's led to the most success in roofing has been to constantly invest in myself. I have in my team. So we've never cut out the education. We've never cut out the certifications. We've never stopped learning. I don't know, maybe it sounds like something that should come out of a textbook, but maybe that's just my previous background. But if we were to contact my 2 manufacturers, Certainty and GAF, they would probably say Greta is the only person that requests trainings on site and online, even in COVID-19. I think it's so crucial to the success of my brand. If I continue to reinvest in my team and myself with knowledge of products, procedures, new ways, that always pays back, because again, it makes us those industry leaders. So I think that's the best thing I've ever done, is I've never stopped learning. And I think every day when I wake up, I find a way to learn, following people like yourself. I follow you guys because I want to learn, and I've never stopped learning. And I think in our industry, when people hit a certain amount of sales and they hit a certain lifestyle, they stop learning, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But realize that it will have an impact, and that impact could all potentially bring you backwards every year instead of leading you in the correct path. So never stop learning and never stop training yourself, because it's also going to create a company culture that you as an owner realize that there's imperfections, and you welcome your team every day to take that journey as you keep learning. So right now, even in COVID-19, my sales team and we have already completed 3 new certifications that we were doing online together. We're scheduled for 2 more this week. So we actually go out together in a Zoom call. We have 2 screens running, and we take the classes together. Again, it shows them that we need to keep learning. It's okay that I tell them this is temporary. 2021 is going to be great. We're just going to get through this year. 2021 is going to be great, but we need to be ready for 2021. We need to continue being leaders and experts, because a lot, GAF, Certainty, all these companies, all the solar companies, they're still pushing products. So we have to stay on top of our game. And then there's another part 2 of that, if I may add, is contributing. Never stop contributing. That's why I joined NERCOM. That's why I joined National Women in Roofing. That's why I joined National Women in Construction. So never stop contributing. A lot of contractors feel that it's unnecessary and a waste of time because it doesn't come with a paycheck. But not everything in life is a direct paycheck, right? There's so many ways you're getting paid. There's so many ways it's unbelievable the ways you're getting paid. One of them is the ability to walk in a room and be respected. For a girl that's 30 years old in Middlesex and Worcester County, Massachusetts, when I walk into a room, I'm respected. I'm respected as a roofing contractor by my competitors, and that is the highest compliment. So never stop contributing and never stop learning would be my biggest recommendations to anybody in our industry.
That's great. Thanks, Greta. How can people follow you or kind of look at look at your stuff that you're doing? It's at Golden Group or?
At Golden Group Roofing is our Instagram handle. But most importantly, if you ever want to reach out on LinkedIn, Greta Bajrami, or, Greta at goldengrouproofing.com. My mission in this industry is so much bigger than Golden Group Roofing. I really want to make a way for millennial immigrant entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs to find themselves, to find a home here, because why not roofing? Why not? It's just as exciting as any other industry. And if you're just starting out in it and you're young and you want to, take a look at my lifestyle and I welcome you to it, because roofing is rewarding, it's exciting, and it's impactful, because we are important. I mean, we are essential workers, right? The government has listed us under that category. So why shouldn't we feel great about that? It's unfortunate that roofing comes with a stigma, and I want to do everything along with many others that have joined this industry to put that stigma away, because it's sad sometimes when I say I'm a roofer that people automatically discourage my business mindset and my success. They think that sometimes that means that I'm less or not as smart as somebody who might say, I'm a IT consultant, or I'm a, restaurant owner. So I want the people that have joined me in this journey to realize that together we could shut that stigma down and let people realize that roofing is great. And why not roofing? Why not open a company and invest in roofing? I mean, It's essential and it's infrastructure.
That's awesome. Well, thanks, Greta, for everything that you do and for coming on and joining us today. This has been another episode of the Roofing Success Podcast. If you would like to generate more sales through your digital marketing efforts, please visit roofermarketers.com and get a copy of the book, Internet Marketing for Roofing Contractors, How to Triple Your Sales and Turn Your Roofing Website into an Online Lead Generation Machine. Also, check the training section of the website for guides on everything from running effective pay-per-click ads to how to properly set up your Google My Business listing. This has been another episode of the Roofing Success Podcast. Thanks for listening.